After the colonel is killed, the humans surrender. Jake and the Nusix send everyone back to Earth, but a few people stay behind, those who had been loyal to Pandora from the beginning. A child also stays because he was too young for space travel. His name is Spider, and he is the colonel's own son. Meanwhile, Jake becomes the leader of the tribe. He has 3 children, the eldest, Neytiri, the second, Loak, and a daughter, Tuck. Dr. Grace Augustine also has a daughter, and they name her Kiri. Jake and his family adopt her. They all grow up together, laughing and playing. Spider blends in very well with them. He considers them his family. However, Jake's wife, Neytiri, dislikes him because he is the son of their enemy, the colonel. Jake teaches his eldest son how to hunt. This moment is very emotional for Jake. Their time passes happily until one night, Jake and Neytiri suddenly see ships in the sky. Both panic. Before the ships even land, they burn their forest and animals. Seeing so much destruction, Jake is troubled and Neytiri is shattered. This time, the humans bring even more machines. A year later, the humans create a clone of the colonel in an avatar body, implanting all his memories. However, he doesn't remember how he died because those specific memories were saved by the colonel himself on video when he was alive. He tells his avatar the whole story of his death via video. Meanwhile, with the help of his clan, Jake attacks and loots their ammunition supply. The colonel plans with his comrades to attack Pandora again and capture Jake at any cost. He then arrives with his team at the human military base on Pandora. There, he meets his general. The general tells him, "We have done more mining and construction in the last year than in the past 30 years. Before we can make this planet habitable for our people, we must deal with these Nusix because they are attacking more than before, causing a significant loss of life and property." She then sends the colonel out. The colonel lands in the same forest where he died. Coincidentally, Jake's children and Spider also come there to play. They see the colonel and his team and realize they are not from the tribe but are human avatars. The colonel checks a discarded amp suit lying there and sees his name on it, realizing the skeleton is his. He then sees the arrows embedded in its chest. Just then, Jake's son Loak uses his communication device to tell Jake the entire situation. Jake and Neytiri become worried and tell the children to leave without making a sound. As the children try to leave, the colonel's men capture them. The colonel, seeing their fingers, understands they are half-breeds because Nusix have 4 fingers and they have 5. The colonel recognizes Loak as Jake's son, but Spider feels strange seeing the colonel. The colonel questions Loak about his father, but he doesn't tell him anything. When the colonel is about to kill Kiri, Spider flares up. The colonel asks his name. When Spider tells him, the colonel realizes Spider is his own son. He asks him, "They sent everyone back to Earth, so why didn't you go?" Spider replies, "I was a child, and such a small child couldn't handle space travel." The colonel then tells the general his location. She says she will arrive in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, the colonel watches the recorded video of his final moments, which he found in his amp suit's memory. Now he learns how he was killed. The colonel waits for the general to arrive. Before she does, Jake and Neytiri arrive, and a fight breaks out with the colonel and his team. They manage to save their children, but Spider is knocked unconscious by an explosion's pressure. The colonel picks him up and takes him with him. Kiri, crying, tells Jake that they took Spider. Jake hugs her and comforts her. Meanwhile, the general tortures Spider to get information about all of them, but Spider tells her nothing. The colonel doesn't like that she is torturing him so much and suddenly stops the torture. Due to the torture, blood is flowing from Spider's nose. The colonel tells the general, "I know him, I can get him to talk in my own way." The general says, "He is not your son," and leaves. On Pandora, Jake tells his wife they must leave this place because Spider is with the colonel and he will make him talk. Neytiri refuses to leave. Jake makes her understand, "They came here just for you and me. If we stay, they will destroy the entire tribe." Understanding this, she cries, hugs Jake, and agrees to leave. Meanwhile, the colonel comes to talk to Spider. He gives Spider his locket. Spider throws it away immediately upon seeing it. He actually hates his father because he knows his father has committed many atrocities and killed innocent people. The colonel says to Spider, "I want you to just come with me. You won't be imprisoned here, and I won't pressure you about anything." The next morning, Jake resigns from his position and leaves with his family. After a long journey, they reach the Mykaina Reef Island. The tribe living on the island has a completely different skin color. That tribe hunts underwater instead of in the sky. The tribe's people mock Jake and his family because their tails are very thin compared to theirs, their arms are thin, and they appear very weak in front of them. Then the tribe's Oloiktan chief arrives with his wife and asks Jake why he is here. Jake says, "We have come to join your tribe." The chief says to him, "You are of the forest and we are of the water. None of your skills will be of much use here." Jake says, "We will learn quickly." Then the chief's wife says, "They cannot swim as fast as us in the water." Looking at Kiri and the children's hands, she says, "They are not true born. They have demon blood in their bodies." Jake shows her his hand and says, "Mine are like this too, and Mother Iwa gave me life. She accepted me, and now I am one of you." Then Neytiri says, "You all know that my husband single-handedly defeated the humans and saved our tribe." The chief's wife says, "And now you are hiding yourselves." Jake calms them both down. The chief says to Jake, "I do not want to bring your fight here." Jake says, "I have not come here to fight, but to keep my family safe." The chief gives them permission to stay and tells his people, "Consider them like our brothers and sisters. Treat them like children and teach them all our ways. Teach them to swim so they don't feel worthless." He then tells his son and daughter to show them their place. The next day, the chief's children take Jake's children underwater. They see that they cannot stay underwater for long. They help them a lot with swimming and tell them all the techniques. Afterwards, they call their water creature and make Loak bond with it and learn to ride it. The tribe's chief teaches all these things to Jake as well. The chief's daughter teaches Loak to hold his breath for longer. Jake's children have a lot of fun underwater. They see a new world. Kiri feels all of this. Meanwhile, the colonel takes Spider to the highest mountain on Pandora and tries to bond with a banshee for himself. But during their struggle, the banshee jumps off the mountain with him. Everyone thinks the colonel is dead and they start to leave. But then the colonel arrives, riding the banshee. He has bonded with it. Meanwhile, the chief's son is teasing Kiri. Neytiri and Loak arrive and beat up those boys. Kiri laughs a lot seeing this. Then Jake takes his sons aside and scolds them severely. He sends Loak to apologize to them all. Then he asks Neytiri, "Did you beat them up badly?" He says, "Yes." Hearing this, Jake says to him, "That's a good thing." Hearing his response, Neytiri smiles and leaves. He goes to those boys and apologizes. They forgive Loak and ask him to come hunting with them in the deep sea. Loak agrees and goes with them. They reach the Three Brothers rock formation and ask Loak to make a call. Loak does so, but they quietly leave him there and go back. Actually, that area belongs to whale-like creatures called Chilkun. One creature, like a madman, starts chasing Loak to kill him. Loak tries his best to save himself from it. After being in the water for a long time, Loak starts running out of breath. He tries to get out and reach the surface, but the Chilkun sees him and attacks him to kill him. Just as it gets close, another Chilkun attacks the first one. Meanwhile, Loak starts drowning due to lack of air, but after a while, when he opens his eyes, he sees that the Chilkun has saved his life. It had brought him to the surface. In return, he removes a large metal hook stuck in the Chilkun's fin. Now the two become friends, and then they swim together in the water for a long time. After a while, Loak, seeing its other severed fin, asks it through gestures how it happened, but the Chilkun doesn't give him an answer. Meanwhile, Kiri tells Jake, "I can hear Mother Iwa's heartbeat. Have I gone mad?" Jake consoles her. Just then, Neytiri brings the chief's son and tells him the whole story of the day. They are about to go search for Loak when Loak sends the Chilkun back and comes home. He takes all the blame and saves the chief's son from a beating, which causes a very good friendship to form between the two of them. The next day, he tells everything to the chief's children and also mentions its severed fin. The chief's daughter understands and says, his name is Payakan, and he has been ostracized by his family because everyone says he is a murderer. He killed our tribe's people and his own Chilkun. But Loak doesn't believe them and says, he is my friend, and leaves. The next day, the chief's daughter shows them her ancestors' temple. Then she shows them her tribe's tree of souls, which is underwater. Kiri bonds with it. She sees her mother. She hugs her and cries, asking, "Why am I different? What does Mother Iwa want? Who is my father?" Suddenly, Kiri has a seizure. The children bring her back. Jake calls his friends for her treatment, but they can't do anything. Then the chief's wife treats her and heals her. Just then, the colonel's comrades tell him that a ship has been spotted on the radar. This was the same ship that Jake's friends used to come and heal Kiri. The colonel had gotten a location. Now the colonel sets out for the Mykaina Reef with a hunter ship's captain and his crew. Meanwhile, the Chilkun complete their migration cycle and return. The tribe is very happy to see them arrive. They consider the Chilkun their brothers and sisters. The Chilkun pod leader shows her child to Ronald. She is very happy and says her child is also about to be born. Meanwhile, the colonel reaches the nearest clan and asks about Jake, but those people don't know anything and can't tell him. In anger, he burns their homes and leaves for another clan. Jake is informed by the chief about the neighboring clan and told, "They are looking for you." Neytiri says to Jake, "How long will we keep running? If we want to breathe peacefully, we must kill him." Despite so much effort, the colonel finds out nothing, so he changes his plan and gives permission to the ship's captain, who wanted to hunt Chilkan. Now Loak goes to his Payakan and says, "I trust you. You also trust me, and tell me what happened to you." As he does this, his companions see him. Payakan opens his mouth. Loak goes inside and bonds with him, through which he finds out everything, that he had only tried to save his companions and the tribe's people, it wasn't his fault, and he hadn't killed anyone. Now the tribe's chief finds out that Loak went to Payakan, for which he scolds him and explains, the Chilkan used to be violent killers in the past. After much bloodshed, they renounced violence and made peace the fundamental principle of their lives. Payakan broke their rules and showed violence again, so he was ostracized from the pod. Loak starts to tell him the truth, but Jake stops him from speaking. Meanwhile, the colonel's team attaches a tracker to the Chilkan pod leader because she couldn't swim fast due to her pregnancy. Now that hunter captain kills her with great cruelty and brings her to his ship, he drills into her brain and extracts a yellow-colored liquid. He explains that the liquid is the most precious thing, and this much liquid is worth 66 billion. It is because of this money that you, Colonel, are able to do your work. Meanwhile, the tribe members reach the Chilkan's corpse. The chief's wife cries a lot seeing it and says, "She was my soul sister. She had gotten her child after completing who knows how many cycles." And she returns and declares war. But Jake makes them understand, if you fight them, they will destroy everything you have, and those you love. He shows them the tracker and says, "We have to save the Chilkan's lives. So if you see anything like this on them, tell me. I can disable the tracker, which could save their lives." He asked everyone to spread this message to all the Chilkan. Everyone agrees. Then Jake secretly tells Neytiri that they don't want to hunt the Chilkan, but us. Now Loak sets out to warn Payakan because he knew no one would have told him. All the children try to stop him, but he leaves. So all the children follow him. Meanwhile, the captain prepares for another hunt. Loak reaches Payakan. He panics when he sees the tracker on Payakan and tries to remove it. Then, seeing the hunter ship approaching, he panics. Now all the children arrive and try very hard to remove the tracker, but it won't come out. Then Loak tells his father everything. Jake then tells the chief. They all get ready and head out towards them. The colonel is very happy to see those children near the Chilkan. The children remove the tracker and throw it into the sea. Now they themselves hide underwater, and Payakan escapes. The colonel orders his men in small submarines to capture them. After some struggle, they manage to catch the chief's daughter and tuck with a net. Loak also gets caught trying to free them. Spider, seeing this, runs to them, but they catch him and take him back inside. The colonel ties all three children to the deck and tells Jake to come alone, threatening to kill the children otherwise. Jake agrees to surrender himself. Payakan, seeing Loak tied up on the ship, becomes enraged and starts smashing rocks underwater. Now, determined to save him, he breaks all his rules and jumps onto the ship and starts destroying everything. Seeing this, the ship's captain comes to hunt him. Seeing all this, the tribe members also jump into the fight. The captain fires a rocket at Payakan, but he lowers his head, causing the rocket to hit the captain's own ship and explode. Seeing this, the captain is shocked. A terrible fight breaks out among all of them, and they start killing their enemies. Meanwhile, underwater, Kiri, by bonding with their Tree of Souls, breaks the colonel's submarine. Seeing this, the chief's son is very surprised. Inside the ship, Spider also breaks the ship's controller, causing the ship to crash into a rock and start taking on water. The captain shoots an anchor tied with a cable at Payakan to capture him, but Payakan cleverly avoids it and deliberately wraps the cable around his head, using all his strength to start pulling the boat. The captain barely manages to escape, but prepares to attack him again. Then Payakan jumps over his boat and ties the cable to the captain's own hand with a jerk, severing his hand, just as the captain had once cut his fin. After the captain dies, his crew stops fighting and starts to leave. Now, as soon as Kiri surfaces, the colonel catches her and brings her to the ship's deck and ties her up there. Tuck sees her, so she and the chief's daughter go back to the ship to save her, but they catch Tuck too. On the other side of the ship, the colonel shoots Neytiri as he is running. The children barely manage to bring him to the island, but he doesn't survive. Neytiri, seeing him dead, starts screaming like a madwoman and cries a lot. Just then, the Colonel talks to Jake on his communication device and tells him that his younger daughter is with him. So Jake tells Neytiri to pull herself together and says, "We have to save our daughter." Neytiri picks up her bow, mounts her banshee, and flies towards the ship. Jake quietly reaches the ship and causes an explosion, setting it on fire. Seeing his furious form, Spider also hides in fear. Meanwhile, Jake quietly frees Tuck, but the Colonel puts a knife to Kiri's throat and comes before him, saying, "You wouldn't want another of your children to die today." The Colonel makes him lay down his weapons. Spider tries to stop the Colonel from doing this, but he doesn't listen. Then Neytiri puts a knife to Spider's throat and tells him to release Kiri, but the Colonel acts as if he doesn't care. Then Neytiri says to the Colonel, "A son for a son," and stabs Spider in the chest. The Colonel immediately releases Kiri. Now they all start to leave, but the Colonel says, "I still won't stop. I will be back, and you will live your whole life in fear with your entire family." Hearing this, Jake attacks him. Meanwhile, underwater, Neytiri and her children are trapped by fire. They try to surface and get out from the other side. Just then, the water current sweeps Tuck inside the ship. Neytiri jumps in after her. The ship starts to sink and capsizes. Spider and Kiri surface. Meanwhile, underwater, Jake, while fighting, chokes the Colonel unconscious. He thinks the Colonel is dead, but he himself starts drowning due to lack of air. Just then, Loak, with great difficulty, brings Jake into an air pocket, allowing Jake to breathe. Meanwhile, Tuck and Neytiri are also trapped in a place, and the ship sinks completely into darkness. Then Kiri calls many bioluminescent fish, and they fill their entire ship with light. She gets Tuck and Neytiri out. Meanwhile, Loak, with Payakan's help, gets Jake out. Payakan carries them all on his back and drops them off on the island. Spider also pulls the Colonel out. He is alive. His banshee arrives there. The Colonel asks Spider to come with him, but Spider yells at him and returns to Jake and his family. So the Colonel gets on his banshee and flies away. Now all the tribe members give Neytiri a final farewell. At that time, Jake remembers the moment when he held Neytiri in his arms at his birth and named him. And now he was watching him being buried in the endless depth of the water. His heart was broken. He returns and tells the chief, "We will leave tomorrow." The chief says, "Your son is now with our gods, and you have also become water people now. So you are a part of our tribe." Then Jake and Neytiri bond with their tree of souls. Then Jake sees the time when Neytiri hunted for the first time, and he was very happy. Neytiri is happy to see them. Neytiri was truly with their gods now. That was his heaven. There, in his world, his family was with him. And the story ends here. I hope you all like this explanation. To hear explanations of more movies, please like this channel, subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon.